If you're in the market for a large body-on-frame three-row SUV and you can't decide between a Tahoe and an Escalade, the GMC Yukon has always been that perfect middle ground that delivers the luxury of the Cadillac without the snobbery that comes with the badge. Now for 2025, the Yukon is getting its first big refresh since the new generation came out in 2020, and as you can see today, we are back in Detroit to finally see the all-new SUV in person. It gets a brand new style in the front fascia and in the rear, it gets new technology inside, and it gets upgraded power underneath the hood. So now that we're finally seeing the new SUV in person, let's go ahead and take a first look. Now, as you guys know, this generation of the Yukon was first introduced back in 2020. It's been a huge success for GMC. In fact, this styling of the current generation Yukon has always been my favorite. So now that we're seeing the updated version in person, we'll talk about the updated style in just a second, because I want to actually start by popping the hood and reminding you guys what's powering this thing. Now, GMC continues to offer the Yukon with a choice of 3 different powertrains. All of them, or at least the base engine, is a V8. It's the 5.3 liter pushrod naturally aspirated direct injection V8. It still makes the same 355 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque. This trim that I'm showing you here is the Denali Ultimate trim. It comes standard with the big block engine. It's a 6.2 liter pushrod naturally aspirated direct injection V8. Horsepower figures remain the same at 420 and 460 pound-feet of torque. It all goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission. You can take your pick between either rear or four-wheel drive. This model that I'm showing you here obviously is going to be four-wheel drive. The updated powertrain for 2025 is actually the diesel. That's right, the diesel engine is still available this year. It's the 3-liter Duramax turbo diesel inline 6. It did get a pretty nice power upgrade this year to 305 horsepower and 495 pound-feet of torque. That's an increase of about 34 horsepower compared to the pre-refresh model. And Chevy or GMC says that the diesel take rate has been around 10 to 15%, which I expect that to be, the same for this new version. The diesel has always been the fuel economy leader. We don't have final fuel economy figures just yet, but we do know that this model will tow a maximum of 8,400 pounds, and curb weight should be pretty similar, of course, to the current generation model. But let's go ahead and close up this hood here and talk about the exterior styling. Now, first of all, the 2 that we're showing you here in the studio are the new top trim. So technically, we've already had a Denali Ultimate. You can see it has its own unique front fascia along with the updated styling. But over here, you're gonna see a new AT4 Ultimate trim. The Ultimate trim kind of takes some of the luxury and technology features from the Denali Ultimate, but it also pairs it with the off-road capability and the more, tougher, bolder looks of the AT4. You can see the front fascia kind of mimics a little bit what we see in the new Sierra EV. It has some updated full LED headlights with the projector style LEDs. They also have like a precision direct fire LED, which also now does an animation dance. Whenever you lock and unlock the car, it's going to actually do that little dance, which I actually do have the key fob here. So if you look over here on this model, if I hit the unlock button, you can see it should do a little dance. But in terms of the styling language here, you can see the AT4 has like a satin nickel metal finish to the grille, which I actually really appreciate, along with the big GMC logo. The grille looks like it got a little bit larger. You also have a unique front end with the red tow hooks here. You also get a skid plate along with underbody skid plates, because this is, again, the more off-road oriented version. And then with this trim here, you have a standard air suspension, which also is included on the Denali Ultimate. It has the ability to raise and lower the vehicle by about 2 inches, which is going to be great if you guys plan to do some off-roading. Over here on the Denali Ultimate, you can see you have the Vader style chrome grille where you have the blacked out GMC logo. It definitely has a more sophisticated premium ambiance with the satin metallic, the brighter finishes here. This color is called Rush Metallic. It kind of has some metallic fleck of purple and gray and bluish in the color. It looks really good, especially under the bright studio lights. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys prefer the look of the AT4 or the Denali Ultimate. You can see moving around the side profile of this one, you can see the 20-inch wheels that you're seeing here are going to be standard on the AT4 Ultimate. They're wrapped in a Goodyear Wrangler all-terrain tire. This is a 275 by 60 R20 tire, so it's a nice size wheel entire package if you guys plan to go do some off-roading. Like I mentioned earlier, adjustable air suspension. We don't know what the final ground clearance is at its highest setting, but again, it's going to give you more of that off-road capability. There's some badging over here. You have cameras, of course, with integrated turn signal mirrors. They also power fold, obviously. You can also get a panoramic sunroof with this vehicle. And then, of course, in terms of the dimensions, the Yukon is still available in 2 different sizes. There's the base Yukon, like we're showing you here, with a 121-inch long wheelbase, around 210 inches long overall length. And then there's also an XL version, which is around 15 inches longer, which they don't have one here to show, but it also will be launching around the same time as the regular length version. You can see at the rear of the AT4 It has a new look with the LED taillight design. They also have the same direct fire design with the animation whenever you lock and unlock or approach the vehicle. You can see the back over here also has the badging here with the AT4 badging, the big GMC badge over there. And then you can see the quad outlet exhaust. GMC actually says that's going to be standard on every trim except for the elevation. That's right. If you guys remember, the old model had an SLE and SLT. They've gotten rid of that. They've now made elevation standard, AT4 in the middle, and then Denali at the top end. And then they offer the ultimate trims, obviously, for the Denali and of course the AT4. But let's walk over back to the Denali trim. I want to talk about the rear over here really quick and show you guys again the taillight design, also updated with that C-shaped LED with the direct fire design. You can see it spells out Denali here in the center where they move the GMC logo to the side over here. And then you also have the same quad outlet exhaust. You have the really integrated parking sensors. And then you have your cameras here, obviously for the rear view camera mirror and the full 360 camera surround. And then you can see, looking at the cargo area here, that it also has a new hands-free power liftgate feature, where it also has the ability to kind of sense when you're standing near the vehicle, it'll open and close the tailgate. And then in terms of the cargo area, this should be unchanged from the pre-refresh model. So you're looking at around 25-ish cubic feet of space with the third row seat up. If you fold down the third row, it expands it to 72 cubic feet. And then if you fold down every row, the second row as well, you'll get a maximum of around 120 cubic feet. So that's definitely among the best in the industry. You can see there's also a little bit of underfloor storage here, which is nice. But if you want more space, keep in mind the XL version increases that cargo capacity behind the third row to around 35 cubic feet of space, which is definitely going to give it even more space if you guys need to carry 7 or 8 and all their stuff. Now, I also want to briefly mention, coming back around the side here, the wheels. You can see the Denali Ultimate trim has a first ever 24-inch wheel. Now, this is going to be standard with the 24. You can also, for no cost, I can go back to a 22-inch wheel. You can see the wheels themselves. They seem a little outrageous at first, but when you look at the wheel and the body proportions, they actually work really nicely with the size of the vehicle. They're actually riding on a 285 by 40 R24-inch wheels. So again, the wheel finish also looks pretty nice. You can also get a 24-inch wheel, of course, on something like the Escalade, but on this Denali Ultimate, I have to say, in this rush metallic color, it certainly gives it more Escalade vibes, and it certainly also fits the persona of a luxury SUV. Now, on the exterior of the revised Yukon, you can see the interior is really where GMC spent a lot of time making some upgrades as well. Obviously, this one that we're showing you is the Denali Ultimate. It only comes with this really premium Napa leather seats, which also only come in this brown interior color. It also has some badging over here. It has the kind of Mount Denali embossed into the actual seat back here, which is a nice texture. I also really love the contrast piping and stitching that's unique to the Denali Ultimate trim. These seats also adjust in 16 different ways. They're heated and ventilated, and they also offer massage features. So again, these are all features that you typically expect to find in a Cadillac, but GMC obviously has been offering it in the Yukon Denali for a while, and I have to say, this interior looks and feels like it belongs in anything with a luxury badge. Now, getting inside, you can see, let me go ahead and close the door to stop the bong. One of the big changes you're going to notice as you first get into this vehicle, obviously, is the huge upgrade in the infotainment system. You can see the screen here in the center gets a massive upgrade. This is now a standard 16.8-inch infotainment display. It's a touchscreen. It's got their latest software. It's Google-based, of course, Android Automotive-based as well. And this screen is around 7 inches longer than the pre-refresh model. If you guys remember the Yukon when it first launched back in 2020, they actually had two different dashboard designs. You had the regular, tablet style 10.25-inch display, and then the Denalis had a slightly different look. Now all of them have the same look to the dash. They all have the 16.8-inch display, and then they all have an 11.3-inch infotainment display for the instrument panel behind the steering wheel, which again makes this car feel a lot more upscale, a lot more technologically advanced. In terms of the materials, you still have a ton of premium authentic materials. So you can see the door panel has some beautiful real stitching with contrast, or real leather with contrast stitching. You have some actual wood with the Mount Denali etched into the actual wood itself. You have some metal accents for the door handles, piano black accents, nice and padded leather over here. The window controls, the driver and front passenger window are one touch up down. The rears are just one touch down. A lot of the controls also feel very high quality and tactile. In terms of the steering wheel, you can see this looks like the same steering wheel as some of the newer GMC products. You can see Super Cruise, which is their hands-free driver assistance tech, is going to be standard equipment on every Denali Ultimate and AT4 Ultimate. It's optional on all the trims now. So before you had to go to the high trim to get Super Cruise, but now they'll offer it on even the base elevation trim. The steering wheel also has a power tilt telescoping function with paddles on the wheel. You have some actual buttons here to turn on the heated steering wheel, of course, to access the the Super Cruise driver assistance function. You have a new electronic precision shift gear selector here, which is now column mounted, which is moved from the dash, which I also really appreciate. It just has a much more upscale vibe. The premium materials kind of carries over onto the dash, where you have real leather stitching here, more of that beautiful wood with the Mount Denali etched into the actual wood. You also have the leather over here along with some more metal trim. There's a heads-up display obviously included with this trim, and then the sound system in this car. You guys probably noticed there's speakers in the headrest up here. There are 18 speakers from the Bose Performance Series audio system. If you're an audiophile, you're really going to like that feature. I also really appreciate this. There's a new little hidden storage compartment here on the dash. The pre-refresh model didn't have that, where you can store a couple of things there. It also has a nice high quality feel to it, even though this is a very early pre-production model. Now I want to go back to the screen here. You can see my phone is connected via the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It looks amazing. I love how it takes up almost the entire display. It's a little bit wider versus the some of the other GMCs that have this newer screen, because like I mentioned earlier, it's 16.8 inches, so it's around 2 inches bigger. You have your your climate control function, which is kind of fixed down here in the lower position. You also have a volume knob here, which is nice. It gives you a little bit of graphics there. You can also access some of your controls from the screen over here, but unlike some other GMCs, you still have actual headlight controls here that are hard controls on the actual left side of the dash. So that's really nice to see how they're including that. Going back to the native system, you can see it's really quick, easy to use. It has Google Assistant built in, obviously. It has your factory embedded GPS, which, as you can see, it's Google Maps. It looks amazing. It looks pretty much what you expect to find in your computer, and that tablet is also massive. So I think people are going to really appreciate the big screen, especially if you have trouble, seeing some of these really small icons. This is a nice big upgrade. You can see there's also still some actual toggles down here, so you can access the climate, through the screen and the touch screen. That's where you access the heated and ventilated seats along with the massage function. But you can also kind of access a few of them from these hard toggles. You have a wireless phone charging pad over here. There's two USB-A and a USB-C charging port. You have cup holders over here. I don't love the piano black over here. It just shows fingerprints and dust and scratches easily, but I do love the wood trim here, the genuine wood. You have a really nice padded center console here with the cross stitching, the badging, of course. And then one cool feature from the pre-refresh model that also is carried over here is this little sliding center console. So if I push this little button here, you can see this slides back to reveal even more hidden storage over here, which is fantastic. There's also a nice little hidden compartment over here. This is a great feature, especially if you're looking for all these hidden storage features, but you probably also noticed the armrest now moved pretty far back. Thankfully, this still slides forward as well, so you don't have to worry about losing your armrest, even if you want to slide this forward and back. It's all controlled again via this little button right here that I push. It power slides back and forth. I believe it's only included on this trim. You can see opening this up, the storage area here isn't as deep as I would like it to be. That's because of the sliding console area. There's no fridge also here. That's something you can find in the Escalade, obviously, but there are some features that GMC is not going to give you versus the Cadillac. But overall, you can see this interior is fantastic. The seats feel really comfortable and supportive. Love the fact that they're heated, ventilated, and massaging, along with this really premium, really soft leather as well. And I think for those of you who haven't been in the latest GMC Denali products, you'll be surprised this could essentially wear a Cadillac badge in the steering wheel. But let's go ahead and hop into the second row, because these vehicles are always used as family vehicles. And this is where the Yukon Denali Ultimate also is going to really surprise you, because this particular one that I'm showing you here has the executive second row rear seat package, which is a new option this year. It essentially takes the captain's chairs from the front, puts it back here, because these seats also adjust in like 12 different ways, I believe. They're power adjustable, and they're also heated, ventilated, and massaging. So that's right, you can now get massaging second row seats. GMC says it's an option on the Denali Ultimate trim, so you don't have to get this feature if you guys don't want your kids to be super spoiled in the second row. You can just add it as an option or leave it off if you guys would just prefer a conventional second row. Now, I don't have the final legroom figures just yet, but it should be pretty similar to the pre-refresh model, which had around 41.5 inches of legroom. You can see back here, there's a nice flat floor, which is a nice touch. And then you also have an 8-inch screen back here. Now, this screen basically allows you to control the actual massage feature, which, let me see if I can get the screen to turn on back here. So there you go. The screen comes on over here. You can control your four-zone climate control function. You can go into the seat controls and adjust the heated and ventilated seats. You can access the massage function, which is right over here. There's several different levels of massage and intensities, of course. So this is really upscale stuff. I mean, the pre-refresh model didn't even offer this. This screen right here is included when you guys go for the executive second row rear seat package. You're also probably noticing the leather is pretty much the same high quality leather with the cross stitching, the piping. They're heated and ventilated, like I said earlier, and you also have headrest speakers here in the actual second row headrest. So that's a feature I've never seen. You also have this really nice armrest, which is plush. You have the same beautiful leather stitching materials here on the upper portion here with the beautiful wood, the metal trim. So everything in here, the luxury experience that you get from the front seat is kind of carried over into the second row seat, so there's no fighting if you guys are trying to decide who's going to get shotgun. This is essentially almost the same kind of really nice seat. Now in terms of the third row, to get back there, I believe there should be a little latch that you could pull. There is a latch, but we actually switched over to the AT4 Ultimate version because it's actually a little bit easier to get into the third row, because as you can see, the second row doesn't have the power function here, but it does retain the heated ventilation and massaging function, which is definitely a nice touch. The screen also, the 8-inch screen is also still back here. So you can still control the massage or the heat and ventilation functions. That's included, I believe, if you guys go for that executive rear seat package. But unlike the Denali Ultimate, this doesn't have the power seat function in the second row. So if you basically just pull this lever twice, you can see the seat will fold down first and then it catapults out of the way. Now this is definitely great to help you get into the third row. However, if you guys have a child seat latched into the second row, that's where it could be a problem, because you can't actually make this seat go down with the child seat latched into position. But let me go ahead and pull this seat back up, and what I'll do is I'll move this seat back into its rearmost position just to show you guys the space. Now, in the pre-refresh model, GMC said that this had around 34.5 inches of legroom in the third row. And because of the fact that they switched to an independent rear suspension for this new generation, this is where they were able to massively improve the third row usability for space. So even with this seat all the way back at 5'7", I can sit back here and be extremely comfortable. There's good legroom space. The bench is also not super low, so I feel like I have some decent thigh support. The headroom space also is not bad. The sunroof, as you can see, doesn't come back into the third row. But unlike the second row, which has all those upscale features, sadly the third row doesn't get heat functionality. You do have cup holders, a little bit of storage, and you also have 2 USB-C charging ports, which is nice. The XL version technically gives you an extra inch more of third row legroom, and because the vehicle is so wide, you can easily fit 3 people across and actually be able to sit comfortably back here. You also have some third row air vents in addition to the second row air vents. So one of the big selling features of this new generation has been the fact that it's just so much more practical as a family car, whether you need to put adults in the second or in the third row. So with just over 82,000 units sold in the US last year, the Yukon remains one of the top-selling vehicles within the North American GMC portfolio. And after spending some time looking at the revised 2025 model, I have to say GMC has only perfected the formula even more. Clearly, if you guys want the luxury features of the Escalade, but you don't want the snobbery that comes with the Cadillac badge, this is the model that you should be looking with. I really like the styling changes that GMC has made. I love the fact that they are now offering an AT4 trim like this with the Ultimate package to kind of roll in some of the luxury that you get from the Denali trim, because I personally like the way this model looks a little bit more. The interior, as you guys saw, got a massive upgrade in technology. Love that new nearly 17-inch display, which is standard across the board. I also like the fact that they've kind of simplified the trim lines, making the elevation standard, the AT4 in the middle, and then the Denali at the top trim. Now, if you guys are looking to get your hands on the brand new 2025 model year, GMC says they should be heading to your local dealerships by the end of this year. And while we don't have final pricing just yet for this model, we can kind of speculate, because the current 2024 version starts at just under $60,000 plus destination. If you guys step it up to the top of the line trim, they can crest well over the 6-figure mark. I would probably estimate that with the new version, the elevation with the additional standard equipment, it probably is going to start in the low to mid $60,000 range, maybe go up to around $110,000 for the fully loaded model, which again sounds expensive, but if you guys keep score or keep track of this particular segment of vehicle, the pricing has just gotten a little bit outrageous. But when you offer this much space, this much capability, this much luxury and technology, you're gonna have to expect to pay a pretty penny. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 GMC Yukon in the AT4 and the Denali Ultimate trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.